Okay, so in a summary, what will happen? Wise crowds gathering, just a space to play and design with these liberating structures. So if you know them, awesome. If you don't know, you learn something. And if you know, it will improve your practice, combining liberating structures and trying to use them to solve problems or to organize a better gathering. And it's infinite. So we can always combine and recombine and understand better ways or different ways to use it. So that's the purpose of this gathering. And you're basically coming to this welcome and orientation. We will not do the impromptu networking. We'll be doing a variation, which is very interesting. And then we'll be doing a one round of wise crowds, which is one liberating structure to get some challenges in the room being worked on. And then we'll be refining one agenda using one of the artifacts. It's a simple Google Slides. And then we'll be sharing, probably we'll have two groups. We'll be sharing what we learn in each group, and then we close. So easy peasy. And do you know impromptu networking? Just raise your hand if you know. Okay, it's very simple. There is one variation to start a meeting, which is abundant greetings. And I'll put this in the chat for you to read, and then I'll give you the link for the material itself. The purpose of abundant greetings, it's the complete opposite of this, hi, how are you? And you say something and people say something. So very shallow. Abundant greetings, it's meant to get people time to really greet each other. And the mechanics are very simple. You work in triads or in groups of 5, depends on how much time you have. But each person will have 3 minutes to greet each other. And these greetings can be an answer from these questions on the bottom. So one person will start, the person has 3 minutes, no matter what. If the person stops in the middle to think about the questions, okay, keep the 3 minutes going to the end. And then the second person comes in, and then the other person comes at the end. We are 9, so we can create 3 triads. And the idea is to use these 9 minutes and come back. So you have the questions in the chat, and we need 2 steps here to get this going, because the breakout rooms are open, and we have been using this for a while, and it works quite well. So you can move yourself. So to join a breakout room, you just have to open the breakout rooms. If you have this icon on the bottom, you see there are 10 rooms. To join, there is a blue button. You click join, yes, boom, you're there. However, you can end up with 2 people in the room, or 4 or 5. So I will let you a couple minutes to figure out triads. And then when we have a triad, you are good to go and you start. Okay? Any question?
Are you gonna send us little broadcasts at 3 minutes, or do we do that ourselves?
You have a watch, probably. You can do it.
You can do it.
I'm a lazy facilitator. Okay, so here you go. Abundant greetings. Let's see what comes up. We'll be doing one liberating structure to start, which is called Wise Crowds. And it's very similar to Troika Consulting. If you know Troika Consulting, it's the same mechanics, but you work with larger groups and you work with more people. Depending on how many people you have, you can do many rounds. In our case, we'll be doing just 1 round, and the mechanics are very simple. There'll be 1 client in the room. The client will present the challenge and the request for help. 3 minutes for this. It's not long, but it's enough to get a sense of what we are talking about. And then in the next 3 minutes, the consultants will ask clarifying questions. The clarifying questions are not trying to solve anything. You're not doing coaching or therapy or nothing. You're just asking, okay, how many people are you working on? How much time? When it will happen? This kind of question, just to better understand what is happening. And after these 6 minutes, 3 and 3, the client will be with the camera and the mic off and ready to take notes, because consultants will be going crazy, discussing, creating options and recommendation, which liberating structures they would use to work on this, on that. So, and just keep sharing and adding. And in the last minute, the client will just share what was available for him or for her, and we come back. So in total, we have 60 minutes. And then we have another round using the slides to map and organize the string, and then the client will be working together with the consultants. So this is the mechanics. But we need to organize in a good way. So we come up with this option to organize, asking you to rename yourself. So you can be a client, you can be a consultant, you can be an apprentice. And as we have 9 people here, I'm guessing we need at least 2 clients to get a nice size of group. You can have a group of 5 and a group of 4. And to put this this sign in front of your name, just select the sign from the chat and copy. And then you can use just the sign, just the icon. Let's see what we get here in the room. Who has a challenge and needs help?
Is it me that sees my circle just without color, or do you see the color?
No, we
I
see the
see yellow.
Oh, you see yellow. Okay, wonderful.
And I don't see the yellow icon in the chat.
You can just write if you want.
Just right.
Let me keep your name, Candace. Otherwise, you'll be just a red dot. John will be a consultant.
I'm waiting to see what's needed. I'll be whatever you all want me to be.
And I'm not seeing
We need
colors.
one more client at least. We just have 1 client so far. DJ, how many events do you have in the next couple of weeks? 0. So your challenge is to get more clients.
Yeah, no doubt. That's kind of my ongoing challenge, Fernando. 30 years worth of
You can
ongoing
use this
challenge.
as a challenge.
I can come up with something though if you need a client. I can definitely do that.
Okay, so let's get DJ as a client. Or Jill, do you have a real challenge coming up, Jill?
I do. I have a 4-day course that I have lots of challenges with. So
Okay,
I can volunteer to be the client.
so let me get the right icon. It's funny.
So do you still need me to be a client, Fernando, or do you have
No,
to?
you'll be a wise consultant.
No, I'll
Okay.
be an apprentice.
So let me help you organize it. So we have Jill and Candace as clients. So it's good to have, maybe Jill, you can go on room 1, and Candace, you can go on room 2. And then people be organizing themselves to be in the room. So we have a group of 5, including the client, and a group of 4, including the client, in these 2 groups. And then you can do the wise crowds following the timings on the chat. I'll just put them again. Any questions regarding the mechanics from the wise crowds? Okay, so don't be too anxious to get through the challenge and the solutions, because you have a second round doing work with an artifact. Candace, you have a
Well, that
client.
was going to be my question. The consultants are discussing, but when's the part where they present their options?
They'll be discussing and you take notes, because nobody will be taking any notes at this time. It's just a
Okay.
conversation. But
Okay.
after we have this artifact where we'll be using the icons and the names and putting this in better notes.
Got it.
Okay.
And for now, consultant and apprentice is pretty much doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Jill going to room 1, Candace going to room 2. 60 minutes. Let's go. Now people are back.
They thought I had just abandoned them.
You
Okay,
said
we
the
are
first
here.
time that we could stay in the breakout rooms. We could have stayed there forever. It seems that that was true for this time as well.
Okie dokie. So next steps. Probably you get some progress already. You have some ideas. And the best way to go is to put them down on paper. As we are virtual, we will use this digital paper. So this is a set of slides. I'll give you the link in a moment. First slide, you have all the icons and the names of the structures. So that's another way to get used to the icons and the names. And each group will have a slide. So I can put Jill here and Kenneth will be here. And then you fill the names of the consultants. And the idea is to work like this. You just copy and paste the icons of the structures that you are planning to use. And you can create 1, 2, or 3 sequences. It's up to you. And one hint is, if you have a sequence, or if you want to go deeper in you want sequence, first get the flow going, and then you can maybe refine some invitations. Some people sometimes get lost in the invitation without getting the structures, the flow ready. So that's one tip. And some other tips are these ones. Stay in the space of possibilities. There is no right or wrong way to use liberating structures. So they're all good. And you can keep creating. So use and abuse of yes and. And this is very important. Copy and paste the icons from the first slide to your slide. Otherwise, an ex-friend will be like lost looking for a structure in that slide and never finding because it's not there. So copy and paste and focus on the string and the flow. And if you want to go to refine an invitation, you're welcome to. You'll be working on slides 4 and 5. And I'll give you the link right now. It's in the chat. Any questions, comments, doubts, despair, hopes? So the idea is to stay with the same karma group, or otherwise named as client. So you stay with the client for 60 more minutes and try to use the strings as you can. And the client this time stays with the camera on and mic and interacts. Maybe another hint is don't be afraid to pick a structure that you never used, but you think it's useful for that client. Put it there. And then in the harvest moment, we can share, you can better understand what is there. Okay. Rooms are still open. And I'll be marking 60 minutes. And this time I will close the room to get you on time. Okay. Yeah, now I had to use my power. Just because I'm curious. Otherwise, I'll let you just work there. Okay, so best way to harvest is to ask the clients to present what they have on the slide. So if you can you start with you, Joe?
Sure, sure.
If you want to share the screen just to get the slides on the records.
Sharing now. Do you all see it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So just very quickly, the challenge is, so I work with foundations across the US and sometimes internationally too. And we have a 4-afternoon course, 1 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Starts Wednesday and Thursday and then goes the next Wednesday and Thursday the following week. And so in that, there's content on community foundation fundamentals, that particular type of foundation. These are folks taking the course once, and 75–80% of them have been in their job role for less than a year and may be very new to the philanthropic sector. So in addition to faculty and different faculty every day, we want high energy faculty presenting the content. We then break that content out with breakout rooms and activities with real world scenarios that apply to community foundations. However, everything has been, I inherited this program over a year ago, and we are always tweaking, and it's not equitable. There's typically somebody in a breakout out of 7 breakout groups that dominates and extroverts and introverts, we have this complete issue where we're getting very bad evaluations on the breakout rooms and folks are not feeling like they're being heard or included. So trying to think about those scenarios and those activities that we already do, like introducing yourself, the typical, where are you from, all that jazz. And looking at, so Simon, bless his heart, organized all this beautifully on here day by day for me. But starting off the day with the HSR liberating structure on day one, and also setting that stage for respect and listening and hearing, and so that that connects very well to the community learning points that I bring up from our organization too. So that's perfect. So basically, I don't have to read this for you all, but each day starting off with a different structure to again set that stage, help everybody, because a lot of these folks are not used to doing these kind of breakout rooms too. We have San Francisco foundations, we have rural Minnesota or rural West Virginia. So they're all over the country and they're all coming from different cultures and institutions. And then we talked about there's typically a half hour of networking at the end of each day. And so really making that more intentional instead of let's network by role type. And there's some negativity there too, because when we network, there's typically questions like talk about a challenge you're having, which I think can be ending the day and more of a negative learning mindset. So bringing in impromptu networking with specific questions at the end of each day, and also pairing those up with these structures that you see below that impromptu networking icon. How was that?
A quick question, Jill. Do you feel you can change the positions and the order of these structures along the way?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I feel like, so we do this 5 times a year. So if I see, and my next course starts on Wednesday, so I'm like, woohoo! So I can start putting this in place right away and testing along the way. And if we need to take some of these out, if we need to, and I need to get more familiar with the structures too. So as I get more comfortable facilitating as well. But yeah, I feel like we could most certainly move around, eliminate if we need to, due to time, things like that.
Nice. Consultants, any addition, comment?
I felt this was really wonderful. Especially with Simon and I both coming into this without a whole lot of experience of liberating structures and some knowledge about a few of them, to realize that even with the knowledge that we had, we were able to come up with our facilitation background to come up with some ideas that we worked really well together. Yeah.
And I'm very thankful. This is so helpful.
Doha?
I want to say, even just seeing this, it's so energizing. I'm sure it's going to be so much fun compared to just, hearing somebody talk a webinar style. This is going to be super interesting. Like I was saying, I want to be there. I want to see how it goes.
One last thing I wanted to, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Jay.
One last thing I wanted to point out was that it was really clear when Jill was sharing her challenge with us, that creating an environment of trust and psychological safety was important, which is what helped us to come up with the initial opening part of the string, and then making sure that each day they closed with something, with a takeaway. What did I learn today, and what can I take away, and what can I apply as soon as I get back to work? And I feel like that will help increase and improve their feedback that they get from their clients and participants. Yeah, I feel the same way. Report back. I want to hear how it goes.
Okay, Simon, words of wisdom.
Well, I just was struck by, I guess, the creativity that I felt the group had with this process. For the different goals that Jill mentioned, several different structures came to mind, and then other people suggested other ones. and it kind of highlighted to me that there are different structures that can serve a similar purpose, and maybe through iterating different strings can have subtly different outcomes, and also there's a playfulness there that whoever's administering and participating can get from this. So I'm feeling energized as well.
Nice, awesome work. So should we move to the second group? Candace, can you share with us?
And wise crowds, and I'm sharing my screen. Sure. Oh, except that I'm still looking at the other one. So can you see, are you seeing the right thing?
Perfect.
Right slide? Okay. So so the issue here is that we have basically two teams coming together who have never met face to face. Some of the people are actually completely new to the organization. Most people haven't seen each other who in the flesh for a long time. And then there's just a bunch of people who are completely new. It's a small group, 10 to 12 people. And so there's a whole kind of team building aspect, as well as exploring work that we can do together to integrate our the work of the two teams. And so, I mean, I think, the idea of impromptu networking is the structure, but we actually talked mostly about that in the morning, in the first round, which was, about how to structure that and what kinds of questions or ways to work that, really thinking about how you can get people to be talking about their values, and from there to the behaviors, which is a way of expressing trust. So there was a couple of different approaches to that, I think, and it relates to the 1, 2, 4 all, actually. I'm going to be honest and say we didn't talk about the W3. It was put there as a possibility, but I'm not sure what we're doing with the W3. So I would actually say that I would put that at the end of this. Thank you to whoever just went in there and reorganized those. They were although they were a bit scattershot on the slide. So I'm feeling like that would actually go at the end. And then we started looking at the crowdsourcing idea, because we do want to be able to come up with some potential projects that we can do together. And we like the idea of the crowdsourcing to just kind of have this really fun and energetic, what about this and what about that? And then, okay, what about let's get real, and what of these could we actually start to develop? So that's my kind of take on where we got to. Over to the team.
I think that DJ, you were the one that said it was nice to see that even if there isn't a whole lot of experience with a lot of the structures, when you get into this creativity and people start sharing their ideas, you're like, oh, well, maybe this could be part of that. What about this aspect? Did you think about, and one idea kind of leads to the other. So we may have been kind of crowdsourcing ourselves as we did this. So very tricky, Fernando. But it was nice to hear the different ways that people have applied it. And I do think that, Candace, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that hearing the ways that different people applied different things gave you the opportunity to say, oh, maybe I could tweak it and apply it like this with my group. So yeah, definitely a useful experience, I think, for both sides.
I think one of the things that we didn't name, but I think we uncovered, is that some of the structures are structures for initiating relationships and work, or they're for troubleshooting work we've done together in the past. So, like the TRIZ is a great example. We talked a little bit about it, but it's really one where you're kind of using it to avoid some problem your group has had before when you move forward with the work, right? So you're identifying something that's already been done. So I think it was really interesting to see where these are good for initiating ideas and work and where they're good for analyzing how to do it better.
Right now, I'm really struck by the fact that coming up with a good string may be like brewing your own home wine or something. It needs to age. And when I come back to it, I look at it a little differently with a little different perspective, and I may change and tweak things. And so my question now, looking at this again, 2510, I love that one, but maybe 15% is a better one here. I don't know. But I sort of need to sit with it and to come back to these multiple times.
That makes a lot of sense, Laura. I really appreciate you saying that, because I think we may just kind of get in our heads and be like, okay, this is the system now. But having that flexibility of saying, okay, no. And I love that there's two different teams, because then we can go look at team 4, and obviously Jill has a lot more time than Candace will, but then say, you know, why did they choose this? What might they get from that you wouldn't get from the ones that we chose? So having those two kind of to compare and contrast with, I think could be really useful, and hearing the reasons too. So really, really useful stuff there.
Well, I completely agree with you, Laura. Having designed learning for decades, just like you, I find that something on paper the first time seems wonderful, and then you deliver it and you go, whoa, that did not work. So having the willingness and the ability to pivot both in the moment and after the fact, and make, okay, let's try this instead. Yeah.
It was really interesting from the consultancy perspective as well, for me, because I kept hearing, you know, we were checking in with Candace as we'd listen, you know, to kind of what her thoughts were on each aspect of the engagement, and then trying to generate options for her, then to run through her filter of who these people are, what they need to do together, and where she'd like them to end up at the end of it. And yeah, and just kind of getting on a bit of a tangent there, and then realizing, no, that's not what the client feels is necessary for the group, and then circling back and trying to do that generative process over and over again. So much like, you know, Laura's wine analogy, I would just say, you know, just changing the ingredients as we went to finally get that right mix. And you know, and for her to light up and say, yes, that's it. And I don't think we, you know, like we didn't 100% get there. I think if we'd had more time, we would have. But yeah, it was just really honing the process of how we were feeding Candace options, and what her process was to work through them and decide if it was a fit or not.
Thanks, team.
Awesome. Okay, 2 minutes to close. I'll invite you to reflect just for a moment, pause your camera, breathe, and think about what is your takeaway from this wide crowds gathering. And when you're ready, you just open your camera. And let's do a quick chat storm. So write, but don't hit enter yet. We'll do it all together. If you're ready, just show the hands, put some pressure on. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go. Uh-huh. Yeah, we don't need to know everything. Awesome. Okay, people, we are on the top of the hour. Lovely to see that was good for you. Hope to see you in January.
Let me
If we
just
don't
say,
see each
please-
other, Merry Christmas, have a good New Year. And we'll stay for more 15 minutes if you need. So
I just want to say, John, please don't shut up. I loved your contributions. I found them really useful.
mhm.
Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas or
You,
Happy
Lucy.
Hanukkah.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
This was great. It was great to meet you all. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
same.
you, DJ.
See you in
Next
2
year.
months, I guess.